and people in Russia are sending us messages and saying, we love your content. Do you understand what I mean? So we look at the positives and how technology will help us, bring our culture to others. One of the key things that drove us when we were setting up Accelerate was we wanted to take the best of Africa to the world. That was important for us. Be it our culture through our cooking shows, be it our culture through our music shows, be it our culture through our travel shows. Because guess what? When I lived in the UK, all I ever saw was starving kids in Africa. So it was important for us that we used our platform to re-educate people so they see the beauty in Africa. Hence the reason that you will see us do a travel show of young people going across Africa.
What you say from your experience that the cultural narrative about Nigeria, the social media is the emerging part?
Better. I think the music has helped, but Nollywood has been fantastic in terms of getting our stories and our culture across. Again, when I was younger in the UK, the only thing you would see on traditional media was starving African kids. What technology and the likes of YouTube and streaming platforms have been able to do is show you a different side that we can control ourselves. Because for a long time we were not able to control our own narrative. But we can now, because we have our own platforms, we can decide what we want the world to see.
Thank you very much. This has been very seminar. You said you wouldn't want to talk about culture. and you're giving a paper of culture and technology. Thank you very much. Now, Victoria, you from Russia. The cultures and values are defended. So how much has Russian technology protected the image and sovereignty of Russia? You want to share?
Sure. Thank you very much. I would like to continue this idea about Russian and African people because we were close Russian and Africans during the 20th century, and I think this for example, in the end of the 20th century, 30 years ago, there was a sort of monopoly on information that was built, and it went hand in hand with the construction of a unipolar world. And what we observe today and notice today that this approach is revealing this approach is not appreciated by the users, but by the consumers. Consumers would like, it seems, a diversity of opinions, a diversity of media, to form their own opinion on what is happening in the world and around them, because even something that happens on a global level will affect seriously our lives, the consumers, their life, and so on. So it is very important to have this diversity of information, and maybe this explains also the popularity, growing popularity of alternative media, for example, because people would like to know more.
Thank you, Victoria. So as we begin to touch them, rather, what's my first name? Pius. I'll begin to run now, right? Yes. Good. So your thoughts, Patrick. Billy, what are...
And I think there's still a lot of change that's going to happen. We just have to be prepared for it. I made some few notes about some strategies that media companies can do to remain competitive. One of them is obviously you have to embrace the digital transformation. You have to develop user-friendly websites, applications, ways to communicate and interact with your audiences. That's very key. More importantly is something that we all know very well: content diversification. We have to develop more content to specifically target these people, and also be aware that digitization also introduces a degree of content fragmentation, because you're going to have a bunch of different people who access content differently. Some on regular TVs, some on streaming platforms, Netflix, Amazon, Disney, Accelerate, etc. So keeping that in mind, one would have to figure out how to tie all those viewers together in a holistic way that would make sense to you. Next, you have to get empirical data of your audience viewerships to get an idea of what you're watching, what they like, why they like it, when, and cater to that need. You know, that's very, very important. Just as you also talked about social media earlier, how does one compete with the fake news and all the bloggers and people? You have to get into that space. You would have to compete with everyone else. You know, so that also is another thing that one needs to do. Community engagement for local content development. You know, that's also another important way. Partnering with the regulators to see about how we can create a more conducive environment for the creation of content, for the adoption of technology. I mean, there are various ways to also do that. Just as important in all of this is also how do we monetize this new environment in which we're in.
And that's very true. I'm sure guys want to talk about commodification of monetization of content and the future of the industry.
Just for them to say, while broadcasters, traditional broadcasters are fading away, we have to in parallel do a streaming next to it, so we don't lose out completely from market share. So what it is, traditional broadcasters has to have this digital platform going and parallel to the traditional, so that we don't lose out. But key thing is to bring content to the digital. It gets viewership, it's more interactive, like I said, if you look from anywhere in the world now, it's cheaper for you to run for traditional TV and radio stations. We have to rely on Archon for approval to run adverts. For digital, so far right now, it's a lot cheaper, and I don't think we need Archon. But how does it go out probably cheaper to advertise? And I see the shift in advertising from traditional to new media. It's gone up over 60% now. So, yeah, so it's over 60% now. So we have to tap into that market quickly before we fade out. It's cheaper to run on social media, and it's also more effective. So as traditional media is right there with the brick and mortar, we have to go side by side on streaming.
Thank you. Colette, do you think, as we predicted, that the obituary of traditional media is in sight?
No, I actually don't think so. I think that the platforms that can run parallel. And like Guy said, I think it's about that strategy of making sure that you're seen in various places. You've got the traditional platform, your DSTV, your network across the country, and then you have a complementary streaming platform which then streams the content as well. Because the truth is, you're just putting in a little bit more technology in place so that you can have the best of both worlds. So I do think that there's great opportunities there. I do think that both worlds can live parallel. As I said, for us, when we set up Accelerate TV, we wanted to speak to a global audience. Obviously, our first audience is Nigeria, and we had that mindset of, let's take the best of Nigeria out there. What I would say is, in regards to revenue, I'm not going to say too much before Archon come and look for me, but I do think that there's some great opportunities on the digital platforms. Obviously, what we've done is we've pivoted and we've looked at, when we first started, we created all our content ourselves. It was on YouTube, we monetized, it wasn't that great, and we said, you know what, how do we pivot and how do we continue to support the Nigerian film and TV industry, because that's really important to us as well. So when we set up Accelerate Plus, which is our streaming platform, we're now working with local African content creators across the board, because it's very, very specifically African. You're not going to see Spider-Man and Superman or anything like that on the platform, but you will see great African content from all over Africa, which is very important for us. So our standing is, let's take Africa to the world in a very positive side, but let us also take our platforms to the world, to people wherever they are, at their own time and in their own space.
Thank you very much for that. major setback, obstacle to advertising is repeatedly stated, lack of reliable data. The statistics actually don't establish anything. Do you really think audience preferences, eyeball, watching figures are really drivers of advertising? What do you see in the future? What do you think really can drive advertising in the industry?
I think we need to understand one fact that advertising has led the era of estimates to the era of data-driven advertising spend. Now, for every client that is putting money into advertising, they have what we call return on advertising investment, which is to measure the extent and level to which it has been able to deliver in terms of bottom lines. So the days of I know the marketing director and I can work my way, if you do that the first time, you cannot sustain that as a strategy. Sometimes ago, the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria were mandated by the Ministry of Information to supervise the batch of audience measurement. We have moved to the they've done the poll, they will be presenting their first interim report any moment from now. We need to understand that today advertising spend is data driven. So for every broadcasters, they need to understand that they need to attract eyeball. Some years ago, we were doing audit growth circulation and we were supposed to measure the print media in terms of leadership, circulation activity, and we got to a point we lost. Because most of the print media houses have moved to the digital platform or the online platform. So counting their sources based on print cannot work. So we need to look at other metrics. We are going into the out of home and we are setting up data framework that is needed for that. So for the broadcast industry, we need to understand that the audience measurement will take off any moment from now. And everybody is expected to key into that. The Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and Apple, we are working as seriously with. The first interim report of the poll, the survey that has been done, will be presented to stakeholders for criticism so we can know they have done their own sample. Can we escalate this? Can we amplify this? What other samples or other elements do we need to bring in to make sure that this is the robust data that covers our industry? Some of these things we're going to put in place, and I'm sure we'll be coming back to.
Thank you very much, Ichibe. So as you speak, we currently don't have any existing data.
The thing we have now, like I've always said, is we have a data bank, we have a media fact, but for me and for our own office, majority of the data we have now, they are organized private sector driven data. Now, the informal sector and the SME are not captured. The government expenditure are not captured because you don't have the capacity and capability to do that holistic. So what we want to do now is we take media by media, we take industry by industry, and we now aggregate everything so that we can have a robust data we can share and say this is our. If you look at Nelson and another research, most of the figures that relate to Nigeria or Africa, they are guesstimates. There's a projection of 5% increase in advertising spend. When you come down to reality, it is not the same. So, but the informal sector, the SME, they are critical to the sources of this data. So these are things that we are looking at. We are interrogating the data processing, the process that we already have, and we are looking at how to build a stronger database for the industry.
Fantastic, and I pray in Jesus' name that
Amen.
Don't forget to what message do you have for Nigerians in terms of broadcast, technology, and content?
Because we live now in a world where information spreads very quickly through multiple sources, which are not always reliable ones. And the audience has access to lots of information, and this affects crucially its behavior. For example, you can listen to radio and at the same moment you can scroll your social media. And at the same moment you can react on breaking news. And all these things that the audience prefers short formats, social media. For example, on Telegram, which is a promising platform for news spreading. They prefer digestible news, very short but condensed information. And now the audience also can download their favorite podcast, radio podcast, or return to it a bit later because digitalization has affected also the radio, and streaming platforms attract more and more users, and all this requires lots of a multifunctional approach of a journalist. He must be a fact checker, and at the same time develops technical skills and performance skills. This is a great job.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate Victoria for wonderful contribution. I appreciate you mostly for the ability to speak English. You've done very, very well. Kudos to you. All right. Thanks, thank you for. I hope you come to Nigeria more.
I hope you will work with my parents.
Thank you. Please give a round of applause. I would also appreciate the DJ of Apple, our friend Dr. Lebo, for the contribution. Colette comes to with English and Nigerian background, and I think we'll see the cultural fusion. Thank you so much for coming. The guy who recruits. So I cross and everybody. Thank you for participating. We wish you well. And Patrick, regards to the chairman and to your station. Thanks for all the contributions. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you had an informed time, also fairly educated. Thank you so much for participating, and I wish you a good session in the next session. Thank you very much.
For this session, so as I hand over to our delectable Hadia to manage the time and get the best out of the panelists. Thank you very much, my sister Franca. All Nigerians, and I'm happy there is that phrase, all Nigerians, and this is what we'll be talking about. This conference, to me, couldn't have come at a better time because we have relatively a new government in place, and recently, just a few days back, we have seen some changes in the broadcast sector, where we have a new DG and MBC DG, who has made some pledges yesterday, and also Honorable Minister, to put the DSO on the